All right, so we should be recording. Good. Well, welcome everyone to our May Orchid Chat. So excited to have you guys here to give you an extra dose of orchids. This month, oh great, Kim is here, perfect. This month we're going to be going over the club, what to expect with the club, and meeting the board members. So you'll learn all about what they do, and it's a great way to kind of know some people for our new friends. Right, let me put up our presentation and we'll begin. Great. So our May Orchid Chat in Church in Nenyos. This is a breakdown of what to expect at meetings and meet the board.
It's still loading in right now, so I don't know if we can quite see it yet.
Awesome. My screen share is paused. Don't know.
Okay.
Let me try and figure that out. What if I do this and then share my screen? And then we open it up. And then we'll stop sharing. I don't know why this won't work. Let me see if I have it just as a PowerPoint. Maybe the internet will like that a little bit better. Now we'll try and share again. Thank you all for your patience. Great. Can everybody see it?
Yep, we can.
Better.
Perfect. So then, since this is a different version, there's just a couple typos that we fixed on the other one. So there are a couple typos going on in here. So meetings, kind of getting right into it. When and where? So we meet on the first Saturday of every month. Our big exceptions are January, which is our luncheon, and July, which is our summer break. We're meeting at the Community Reformed Church in Albany, right by the airport. It is a great space. They've been really wonderful to us. And there's definitely enough room to mingle and do kind of whatever you need. We have a big snack table and plenty of room for everything. I'm having some technical difficulties. Thank you. Here we go. So what to expect at the meetings. So you get there, you've gone all the way to Albany. So what happens? So we do set up around 12, but our social hour doesn't start until 12:30. This is a really great time to chat, ask questions about your orchids, kind of meet new people, and enjoy our snacks. Snacks are great.
You say snacks?
What? I'm sorry, what was that?
Sorry, I wasn't speaking to you. I didn't realize I was on speaker. I'm good. Sorry about that.
I'm glad other people are excited about the snacks.
I'll bring a good one next month, I promise.
Oh, right on.
It's a great kind of way to I don't know, try out some new recipes too. I'm a really big baker, so it's a great way to kind of test pilot some new stuff. Someone brought in Ritz cracker cookies. They were awesome. So we're here, we've eaten. Our meeting actually starts at 1:25. It's formally introduced by Donna, our president, and she'll go over some business and then hand it over to Alex, our vice president, who does beginner talks. These are really great. You don't want to miss these. They're really thorough and they go over useful topics. Some of our last couple ones were like taxonomy, understanding the names of your orchids, when to fertilize. I think we've done some others on watering and lighting, and they're just really useful. So that's always really enjoyable. Then we go over to show table where we pass the mic. So you go up, you kind of talk about the plant you brought or whoever the plant they've brought. And then that's also a great time people ask questions about how certain people are growing certain things. Never be afraid to ask questions. Everyone is super excited to answer your questions and talk about their plants and help everyone else to grow better.
And
So
if you
after
see a plant that you also grow and you don't have time to ask them a question while they're, up presenting at the show table, you can always corner them later and ask them your question too.
That's a great point. So after we do show table, we usually hand it off then to our presenter. They will talk or do their demonstration, whatever they're there to do. And it's always really good. We have a variety of presenters, which we're going to go over later on. Then we do our raffle at the very end. That's always really fun because you usually have a pretty good chance of winning. And then we like to meet up, wrap up our meetings around 3:30 or 4. The last couple meetings we've had have run a little longer because there's just been so many great questions and so much to share, but that's normally when we about finish up.
I think our next meeting is a tour of member grow spaces. So that'll be kind of exciting and interesting. You can see how some other people grow orchids.
Good.
So our newsletter is another thing that we release. It comes out via email and it comes out before meetings. Normally we're trying to get it for like the mid-month. So check your email for that. I think it's going to come out either the end of this week or early next week. It'll have information about our past meeting presenters and some summary of, what our presenter talked about this month. And it'll have some things looking forward, who's presenting next month and bios and all the other things like that. It'll also have some announcements, and I think we've been trying to do some culture corners. So there'll be some additional orchid information about how to take care of different genuses of orchids.
The newsletter also holds our address. Since we moved, I've definitely had to reference it a couple times to remember where I'm going. So if you ever have any questions about where we are, where we meet, or what's going on, the newsletter is a really great reference for that.
Yeah, I think there's contact information in there too. So everything you need is in the newsletter.
And then going back to when you're actually at the meetings, we do member sales. So when we have a presenter that sells orchids, they will, if they choose, they'll bring their orchids and sell those. But if they are not selling anything, members are allowed to sell to do sales. This is a really great way to get really great plants. It's a great way to share divisions of plants that you have or plants that don't fit on your shelf anymore because we all kind of run out of room at some point. But I have gotten actually all of my orchids from member sales. I'm still a bit of a novice, so it's great to have kind of a way to get them.
So when you're at the meeting and you brought a plant in bloom, you can either fill out this sheet beforehand or there should be some extra sheets floating around somewhere. This is the show table slip that goes with your plant and you just fill out the name of the plant, who you are, its growing conditions, and any additional comments you have on it, maybe temperature or something weird that you tried that got a better bloom, or maybe something weird you tried and got a worse bloom. You can really put anything you want on here. But this is just a way for us to document whose plants were at the show table. We've been trying to digitalize the show table. So at the end of the meeting, I think Phil has been trying to come around and take a picture of all the flowers, and then he collects these slips so he knows the name of the flower to attach it with.
And that's been really handy because all of the photos that are actually on this presentation tonight, with the exception of, I think, 2, are pictures from the show table, which it was a great way to kind of show off, again, what our members are growing. And they're beautiful. So then you're at the meeting, you've done everything great. And there are all these people there and they're running the meeting and you're like, oh my gosh, who are they? Well, this is who they are.
And don't be afraid to ask people, who are you and what do you like to do? But first, we start off with our president, Donna Wardlaw. She is the person who introduces the meetings. She joined in the mid-90s, but really got more actively involved in the mid-2010s. As president, she sets up speakers, she organizes meetings, and generally makes sure things go smoothly. She really enjoys all of the speakers. She has a unique opportunity to house them, so she gets to know them kind of better than just seeing them present. She really liked Art Chadwick just because of how charismatic he was, and he helped her identify Cattleya that she had that had lost a tag years and years ago. And I think she brought it into our last meeting. So that was kind of exciting. And then she really likes Ron McHatton as well. But really all of them have been wonderful, and she really enjoys housing them. And her favorite orchid is what's ever in bloom. She doesn't really have any specialties, and it's always the novelty of, a giant Cattleya or a little Dracula or a Masdevallia. She really appreciates the diversity and really it's whatever is in bloom is the best orchid.
That kind of, I don't know, love for orchids is shared with a lot of people that we interviewed. Most of them just like what's in flower. So moving on to our vice president, Alex Shepard. So she joined in 2008 as the vice president, subs for the president when needed. This is not part of her vice president duties, but Alex runs new member talks every meeting, which we talked about earlier in the presentation. They are really thorough and really, really useful, and do not miss them. Alex's favorite presenter is Fred Clark from Sunset Valley Orchids. Really like that he's a really understandable presenter, someone who gives you all sorts of information in a way that you can really digest. Alex's favorite plants are phals. They bloom for a long time. They have so many different colors and they are not too fussy. They're a great, really great plant. I mean, look at this. Look at all these speckles. Really enjoyable. My phals just bloomed for the first time. These are my first ever orchids that bloomed. So I am really appreciating Phalaenopsis right now.
Always so exciting.
Oh, and then moving on, we have Janet. I am so sad that Janet's photo did not make it on here. But Janet is here today as one of our guests. She can't remember when she joined. She's our treasurer, but she's done all sorts of jobs for the club. It's been a long time that she's been a member. So as the treasurer right now, she keeps the books, balances everything, kind of keeps all the money straight. She's also our librarian. She keeps our library, which is a physical library. If anyone is ever interested in borrowing books to learn more about orchids, it's a really great resource. There are so many books that just go in depth and tell you whatever you need to know. So definitely reach out to her if you're interested in the books. Her favorite presenter was also Ron, who was our May presenter. Janet loves his information about diseases. He's come a couple times and been really, really thorough. And her favorite orchid is Adiza. She has a very intense love for these little guys that stand up so straight and are so veiny and different. Moving on to one of our other board members, we have Kim Mullinax. Is that right? Kim? Yes, I think that's right. So Kim has been
Yeah, that's
growing.
right.
Yay! She's been a member for about 6 or 7 years. She's been growing though for about 30. But she waited to join the club for the space, for the sake of space. That is a tongue twister. I can really appreciate the waiting because you have so many plants. I wish I had that kind of like ability to hold myself back. I don't even have a lot of orchids. I just have a lot of plants, and I like got a bunch more this weekend, and I was like, that's okay. They'll go somewhere.
You can always find room.
You're an inspiration. So as our membership director, she processes our new members. She's the one that you're signing up with, joining the club with. She's the one who sends out the welcome email to you. She's a great point of contact for any of these questions you might have. And she also works with renewals. So when you're ready to join again, you say, hi, Kim, I'm ready to join, or she'll reach out to you. As a bonus, which is not part of her new member director duties, she sells potting media as a club fundraiser. So it really benefits you as the buyer and the club as the seller. Her favorite speaker was also Ron. He is a real hit, apparently. I've only seen him the once, but it was really enjoyable. She also really likes Fred Clark. She also really enjoys his easy to kind of understand way of presenting. Kim doesn't have a definite favorite. She really likes to watch them as they change throughout the season. Some examples of that are the Catsidium in the summer, Dendrobiums in the winter. Orchids are really great because you treat them right, you get flowers all year. And I think flowers in winter are really just the best thing for happiness.
It's awful.
They definitely help. So our secretary is Mark Conley. He is the one who runs the raffles. He joined in 2009, but has been growing since 1994. He started growing cattleyas. He got little seedlings and grew them out and started blooming them, and then joined the club. He also sends out get well soon cards and other cards for club members that might be going through hard times, as well as taking notes during the business meetings and running the raffles. His favorite speaker is also Fred Clark. I think a lot of the board of directors had similar favorites. And then his favorite orchids are cattleyas, and recently he really likes Dendrobium cubertsonii. And if you guys don't know what that is, it's a cold growing dendrobium that's flowers can last for 6 months. So it's a really interesting orchid. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But he's been growing all sorts of hybrids and everything.
It's really cool. Moving on to our AOS rep / newsletter editor, Phil McDavid. Phil is the one that you'll see with partner Ben behind our AV equipment. He joined at our 2016 flower show, also a previous grower, already growing his own orchids. As our AOS rep, he mostly just lets the AOS kind of know where we are and what we're doing, and relays information about what they're doing that affects us to the club. So definitely just a liaison, keeping us in the loop. And as the newsletter editor, he creates and sends out our newsletter, which is chock full of information. His favorite presenter was Greg Griffins from Longwood. He really liked how engaging and understandable he was. Longwood has a really great orchid collection. If you want to go admire some of Greg's work, I would definitely recommend it. I used to live near there and I would visit quite often in the winter. Can confirm that it's very, very nice.
I think Summer Rain Oaks recently did an orchid tour of like all of Longwood's orchid collection. So if you guys are on YouTube and interested, she went into like all of the back rooms of the greenhouse. It was really interesting.
That is so exciting. And sometimes in the past, Longwood has done free at your own pace, learn about orchid classes. So keep an eye out for those sometimes. But Phil had a really tough time picking his favorite orchids, but decided that he really liked the one with personality. He likes ones that have mutations and that are variegated, just something really different. Kind of tried to show that here with our picture, something that's got a lot going on. Then we move on to Patty Boggs. She is our name tag director. So she joined 8 years ago after falling in love with a Phalaenopsis at Hannaford. It was a really sweet story. She was very excited to keep it alive for a while. I think she even got it to rebloom, but she saw the club at the flower show, and she thought about her Hannaford orchid that she loved, and she knew that it was destiny and she must join. So as our name tag director, she handles our name tags. She co-chairs the flower shows and arranges our January luncheon. So when you're sending out your RSVP for the luncheon, you are mailing it to Patty. She really liked our April speaker. I can't remember her name right now. That was in the other version of it, which I'm so sorry that was lost. We'll figure out our technical difficulties. Lisa, do you remember what her name was?
I don't remember her name, but she was from Waldor Orchids.
Beth Davis, our speaker in April.
Beth Davis. Thank you, Alex.
You're welcome.
Yeah, she was really great. She had some really nice handouts too.
Mm-hmm.
But Patty also loved Art Chadwick, which he grows all the presidential First Lady Cattleyas, which is really interesting. And Cattleyas are also Patty's favorite orchid. She described them as the quintessential orchid. She said, when I think of orchids, I think of Cattleyas, which I just loved.
And I interviewed our past president, which was Stan Lee. He joined a long time ago. He either didn't want to say when he joined or could not remember when he joined, but he joined at the Hudson Flower Show too, like many of our new members. And he joined because he was really interested in native orchids. And then after he joined, he kind of realized that we don't do a whole lot with native orchids. We're more indoor orchids, and he shifted focus a little bit. He currently grows out all of like the $5 Phalaenopsis that you see at our meetings, and he also builds the displays for the flower show. So this year what was our theme this year? Do you remember?
I do not quite remember.
I think it was like garden with orchids or something like that. So he built kind of the set that we use to display on. And his favorite orchids are yellow oncidiums, and he also really likes vandas. So he grows a lot of those as well.
Oh, yeah. And so that kind of goes from our current president through everybody all the way to our past president and wraps up our presentation for this month. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? This month's presentation was more about the club, what to expect. But our other ones, including last month's, was all about kind of getting into orchids. So our last month is on, our recording is on YouTube. And that it goes over orchid anatomy and the flower parts. We do have a question though. Oh, it's a thank you. That's a great question. So if anyone else has any questions. Yes.
Oh, Janet said that the September meeting is the second Saturday to avoid Labor Day.
That is a great point. Those are the kind of announcements too that come out in our newsletter and that are reiterated in the business section of our meetings. So you will always be up to date.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you all so much for coming. We really appreciate it. And we hope that we made you feel a little bit more comfortable with Nenyos. And we're so excited to see you at our next in-person meeting in June. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Perfect.